the Echo Network Studios here in Royal Oak, Michigan. This is Odd Musings. We are your hosts. I'm Brett Pinson, the creator of Boomtown Scabs, The Adventures of Carl, and The Expendables, and I'm along with
Scott Zembelli, creator of Emmanuel God With Us, Bible-based comic book, and Uber realtor at large for the Macomb, Oakland County areas with Keller Williams Realty Lakeside.
There you go.
I gotta find a smoother way to announce both professions.
We'll have to work on that.
And ship shopper.
Yes, I'm a ship shopper as well. Those that know Shipped, SHIPT, we're going to be hitting up to be sponsors, but been doing that to make some money in between doing Comic-Cons.
You've been doing really well at that.
I have. I've been enjoying it. It's a lot of hard work. I definitely feel like I've lost weight because clothes are fitting a little baggier, which is good for me. I need to do it anyways. All the walking you do around the Meijer is quite a bit. So
it's funny too. What I've learned. I've only done one shop. It was it was worth 10 shops. So
it was a monster order.
Yeah, but one thing I've learned too is Meijer employees get to know the Shipped shoppers pretty well because they see so many of us. Like while I was doing mine, I saw 5 different shoppers. Yeah, I didn't realize it was that big.
There's a lot. There's a lot of orders come in, and we go. For that, don't know how we do it as a shopper. Is we have an app that tells us everything, and we don't see what other shoppers pick up on orders, but we see open orders not available. Sometimes there's a lot, and other times there's not as many. But I see usually during any one of my normal shops, I see anywhere from 1 to 5 people that are shopping that you can tell are shipped. Either they have their T-shirt on, they have their bags. I have a couple T-shirts, but unfortunately they did run a little small on me, so I don't always wear my shipped ones. But I have a shipped cooler bag, so I'm trying to make sure I throw that in the cart because it helps identify you, especially to the Meijer employees. Right. And most are really good about helping out. I've only had a couple that were not as eager, and you could tell they were having a bad day.
Well, and vice versa too. The employee I spoke with, he was very helpful, but he said there's a lot of shipped shoppers that come in, and for the most part they're good. I mean, he's like, sometimes you get the shipped shopper that's just awful to deal with. Well,
just like anything, you can have somebody that's full of themselves.
Exactly.
They're more important than anybody. For me, I always asked the Meijer employees, I say, look, I come up to them and say, hi, I need help with this. Can you help me? Yeah. And whether they can find it or not, I always thank them for their help. Yep. And make sure that they know that I appreciate everything they've done because I'm interrupting their normal workflow, which is their job, though, to help customers. And Shipped as a customer, regardless if we're buying for ourselves or buying for somebody else. Yep.
But yeah, so if anybody's thinking about it and want to look into Shipped as a service, go to shipt.com.
Yeah. I think it's a great program, and it's available in many places across the country. They're owned by Target, so they're going to be expanding across the country to different places.
Yeah. And so Target and Meijer are the stores that they shop here.
Well, right now it's just Meijer.
Actually, just Meijer, yeah.
Target hasn't opened yet. Now, down in Florida, like where my sister's at, they use Publix, ABC Liquors, Costco, and now Target.
Right.
So they have a wide range in different places across the country, which is kind of cool. I'm enjoying it, and it's affording me the ability to not do as many Comic-Cons as I used to do, where I wasn't making any money. Right. And I can concentrate more on doing more books, doing everything I was passionate about. And while I'll still do some artwork that's not my characters, majority of the stuff I'm doing going forward now is strictly going to be all the stuff I've wanted to do, stories I want to tell, and this is affording me the opportunity and the flexibility of time because like we're going to WonderCon at the end of the month. I see Sean Forney's watching, and we're going to be with Sean and Steph, and looking forward to all the fun of the Comic-Con as well as I get to go to Disneyland with them. So.
I just want to go to WonderCon to get away from the potholes. What is going on? These streets are awful.
I'm going to tell you, the problem with Michigan when it comes to roads is they've always said we're going to go with the lowest bidder, but not hold them to any quality standards. And that's why we get the roads destroyed right now because we got extreme cold with the freezing and everything else. Well, it's not even just the snow.
And that also ties into the conspiracy theory, which I buy into, is that it's collusion with the construction unions to keep projects. Build a crappy road, we get to rebuild it next year.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, Hoffa and all those guys were always in the collusion and stuff like that. So, it's part of it. And then they go and patch. When they're patching for in Michigan, like you said, they throw down this hot, basically it's asphalt pebbles, but they don't smack it down. They don't push it down. Right. Other states, they usually have someone that as soon as they put it down, they have a big press, and they're pressing it down, making sure it goes down, and then put a little more on and do it again. And then when the cars go over it, it can kind of smooth it out at that point.
Right.
Here, they throw it down there, so you're going over, you're still hitting the pothole, and rocks are going everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing spots where big potholes are now, and everything on the side of the road is big chunks of this patching.
Yep. And I personally know many people, and additional people too, just through Facebook, but personally I know many people who've lost 2 or 3 different tires and rims with how bad these potholes are.
Just in the last week.
These aren't potholes. They're pot craters. I mean, it's insane.
Well, they're like giant monsters in the asphalt.
Yeah.
Tire. Crush, crush.
So you say asphalt?
Asphalt.
I like asphalt.
Asphalt. Well, it is kind of assy out there. But
But coming here even.
Well, I have a longer drive than you.
Yeah, but I don't know how the road are. I'm assuming they're just as bad down by you.
Oh yeah,
up here, like almost every north-south road, Garfield, Mound, Ryan Road. I'm hearing reports of how bad they are. It's like, okay, there's like 2 roads left I can take. It's just so awful.
Well, it's like I went to, which I'll talk about Lorangers later, when I went there yesterday. Going down Huron River Drive into Belleville, there's a huge stretch where it's worse than the dirt roads. And it's all chunks. In fact, there was a section of the road that was completely gone.
Wow.
And they had a truck there yesterday. They were probably going to try to patch it, but it was full of water. So, I mean, they're trying to patch in this torrential downpour we've got, which is another problem because we got the flooding going on.
Yeah, because right now, between the amount of snow we had that is now melted and the rain on top of it, the ground is so oversaturated.
Yeah, we went from 2 foot of snow, melted fast, which I like the warmth to get rid of, but at the same time, if we had no rain, it'd been better.
Right.
It would have dried out.
But you combine that with the rain.
We've had over 3 inches of rain, which would have translated almost 3 feet of snow, so I'm kind of glad about that. But at the same time, we're getting the flooding going on. Potholes are getting worse. The other problem is you get the people driving, and these people that want to just fly down the road, it's like, wait a minute, you know how bad the roads are, not just because of the weather, but everything's been all torn up. Why do you feel like doing 60 miles an hour, and then when you get a flat, you're getting all mad at the road? It's like,
even
slow down.
There was a story, a man was killed in Detroit.
Yes, I saw that. 22-year-old
pothole.
Yeah. Well, I think about it. I've hit some in the last couple of days. Fortunately, nothing's happened to my car, and I got brand new tires I just got last week. But I hit a couple, and like, bam! I'm like, oh man! I'm like watching my signals, making sure nothing pops up. Is your tire going? Looks. I'm worried I'm going to blow something on that. And I wasn't going by 10, 15 miles an hour.
Right.
But think about if you're doing 40, 50, 60 miles an hour, like some of these people are doing, you hit a pothole like that, you're going to lose control and roll and everything else.
Exactly. So while you were avoiding potholes, you were able to make your way down to the Henry Ford Museum.
Yeah, when I wasn't shifting on Monday, I went with a friend down to.
That doesn't sound.
I know. Well, it's like, real quick on the ship thing is I walked into Meyer and she asked, "Oh, do you have an empress?" I said, "Oh, I'm here with ship." She goes, "Oh, shipped." I said, "Watch your language, young lady."
They should make a shirt.
Of course, I've been saying
the 3 S's in the morning: shipped, shower, shave.
Of course, I've been lately. I've been just thinking I've been shipped in away in Meyerville. But no, Monday I got a chance to go with a friend of mine. We went to the Henry Ford, and the reason we went to the museum there was because they have the Pixar exhibit going through March 18th, and I think everybody should know now that let's listen to. I love animation, love movies, and Pixar is one of my favorites. And the best thing about this was it's an interactive display. So you're not just they have some really cool statues. I'll get some pictures posted up on the Odd Musings soon, but it's you get to sit and actually listen to the people that work on the films talk about stuff. The thing I realize is how much math they all use. It's computer programs, so everything comes down to formulas and things like that when they're developing all the different technologies. And you learn how things kind of went from Toy Story to even some of the current stuff. They don't get too much into the stuff that hasn't come out yet. There's no Incredibles 2 spoilers. They did talk about the Incredibles though, and they talked about things like Brave and stuff like that. And they talked about like, here's how we did the hair. Here's how we did this. Here's how this goes from. It starts from this drawing to this animatic to this very boxy picture to all these different people adding in every little layer, like from the cars. It goes from here's the person who designs the model, then the next person designs this base color almost. The other person comes through and does the lighting, and the whole lighting thing. I thought was the most fascinating thing because it's like lighting an actual film.
Well, and that's why when you actually watch the credits on an animated film, or even a large production like Black Panther, which we'll talk about later, when you get to the artist section, there's like 500 artists listed, because you got that one guy who his job is to make sure the leaf on trees look right.
Right.
The one guy who does the little sparkle in the eye.
And so little things like that.
But they're the best there is at that one thing. And so when you get all these people who specialize in these things coming together, it looks amazing.
Right.
And
it was fantastic. And the neat thing is they had all these little setup stations. You can play around with stuff. Like in the lighting area, they had an actual model of the living room from the Up House. And it's a small one, and you can move stuff around and change the lighting and things like that. Mm-hmm. Another one was they had a big giant Wall-E. It was pretty cool. I was like, I got a picture with him. But they had a camera set up, and you could play with the cameras, and it talked about perspective. Which as artists, we talk about perspective all the time when it's the artwork we do. But they had a Rubik's Cube set up, and then Wall-E in the background. The camera's right in front of that, and you could change how close or wide it was. Right. And you see how the difference plays on for depth.
Well, and that's also where, when you're doing a movie like Lord of the Rings, they played with perspective a lot to give the illusion of the hobbits being really small in certain scenes. Yep. And by placing the actors at certain places and putting the camera at the right angle, it gave the illusion that they were talking to each other and the hobbits were really tiny next to Gandalf, when really all it was is Gandalf was sitting really close to the camera. The hobbits were farther down the table, but they just placed it so it looked like they were looking at each other. And then
angles of certain, they talk about like how they do the angles of certain buildings and things like that to give that different force perspective and things like that. Yeah. But it's like even in Harry Potter films with Hagrid, he's supposed to be like 9 feet tall.
Right.
And they did the same thing. He's either closer or further away, and it's the way they set up the staging too. Yep. Things like that. So it was really cool though to see how Pixar goes about everything.
That's cool. Yeah, and Pixar, they really are the ones who, in my mind, you got Disney who excels at animation too, but Pixar I think really changed the game with quality story.
Yes.
Their character development and stories have always been top notch.
Yes.
And when the little bit of information a lot of people don't know is Pixar was actually founded by George Lucas.
Yes.
It was his company, and he created it, and then he ended up
sold it to Steve Jobs.
Yep.
Actually, he was talking about closing it at one time, and Steve Jobs said, no, let me take it.
Right.
Because they were already dealing with him on the computer aspect of it. Mm-hmm. And he took it, and then they brought in Lasseter, was already kind of tied into everything, had been an animator. Mm-hmm. And then we got into Pixar because he wasn't getting they were getting rid of all the animators and 2D stuff back then because they weren't doing very many movies before Little Mermaid and that came out. And he jumped onto that and became, the director of Pixar. Mm-hmm. They did all the little shorts, the Tin Man toy, the Pixar Luxor, the light. And from there, they said, hey, we should do a full length. And that's where Toy Story came about. And from there, they were learning everything as they were making Toy Story.
Was Toy Story their very first?
It was the very first computer-generated animated movie.
I didn't realize it was their first.
Not just theirs, it was in the world. So,
really?
Yeah, very first ever. So that was kind of cool. And everything to do it was basically when they did Toy Story, it was just like Walt Disney doing Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Right. They were learning as they were doing it, and they were trying to find ways of how can we do this. They were learning the algorithms they were creating. They were creating the software at the same time. They have their own in-house, creators of the software. RenderMan, that's their main software, which anybody can buy now and use for different aspects because it's used by all kinds of people that need animation stuff done for commercials or other movies, things like that. So it's a processing program. Cool. But the neat thing also, and we'll move on, is you get a chance to see all the different areas in Pixar they talked about. They talked about the render farm. That's where all their computers are at for their processing. And you learn about different times, how long it takes. Like some things take less, but pretty much like one frame of film is like 29 hours of processing.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
And of course, what they could do in Toy Story 20 years ago, that would take a day, they can do now in like a minute.
Right.
So it's gotten faster and faster. So
crazy. And like I had talked about when I started in animation, that was in 1994, and back then we had the toaster, the video toaster,
from Amiga,
and everything was so different back then. Like even like something that is so simple now that a 12-year-old can do on their computer now. Where, for instance, like let's say you had the chrome letters that flew into the screen for the logo. Well, back then it took so much computing power to calculate those reflective surfaces. It would take forever. So what we would actually do is create a background, but then we would animate the logo flying in pure black. So we would create a black cutout. And then what you would do is you would have a layer behind where we would create this chrome surface. It's just a flat texture. But when the cutout letters flew over that surface, it gave the illusion of the reflection moving across the surface.
Yeah.
So we had to do a lot of these cheats to make things look right, because computing power was so limited back then.
Right.
Whereas now, the simple programs, you can get a phone app now that can do it.
Yeah.
And, it's so funny how it's changed over the time, and it's pretty cool. And even back then with 2D animation, you now have things like Toon Boom and these other softwares where you can create skeletons of your characters and animate them almost like 3D, but in a 2D environment. Back then, I had the traditional animation paper with the registration bar there, and I'd lay it down, you draw it, then you lay your next one over it with the light table, and then you draw the slightly different pose. Yeah. And we'd have to draw every frame out. Yeah. And then it's just so different now.
Well, yeah, they talk about that with computer animation, with key animation, where you do key spots and the computer fits in, but they still have to go through and tweak it.
Yes.
And stuff like that. So, but the in-betweens, the computer does a lot of the work, but there's still a lot more work they have to do.
Right. So for those who don't know, the Henry Ford Museum, it's an awesome museum. Now, this was a special exhibit in there, but they also have a lot of cars, awesome trains.
Right. We walked through real quick and looked at everything else, and didn't spend a lot of time on everything, but
and the rest of it doesn't change.
Yeah.
It's just the special exhibit area is what's changed, but they always have the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile there. Yep. And you got the presidential cars.
Well, they even have over by the Oscar Mayer Wiener, you can get a hot dog there.
Yep.
So they have that section there. They have a lot of the presidential cars. We saw those.
So if you're ever in the area, it's in Dearborn. It's a great spot. And plus, right next door to that is Greenfield Village, which is another great location to check out. So if you've never been to them, definitely check out Henry Ford Museum in Greenfield Village.
Yeah, definitely. I like that place. So and then you got a fundraiser going on.
For those who don't know, I'll have to look it up as far as the actual link, because it's not a simple link. I got to create a link. It's one of those long things.
We'll get it up on the Odd Music site.
Yeah, it's in CrowdRise. But for those who know, I do run. I like to run for a cause. Mm-hmm. And through our church, we have a ministry. We're called Team Woodside. Woohoo, Team Woodside. Church is Woodside, so that's the great creative name
there was
we've come up with.
There, huh?
Yeah. Team Woodside.
We'll just be Team Woodside.
Yeah. So we run every year, and our goal is to raise $1,000 per runner. This will be my 4th year running with them, and our cause is just basically we have an orphanage out in Thailand that we've built. Through fundraising and donations and things like that. And it's a really important ministry, because out there the sex trafficking industry is really huge, and the rate of orphans is huge. When families can't afford their kids, they just throw them out on the street, and then these kids have to do what they can to survive. And so what our ministry does is it takes kids off the streets and puts them into the orphanages, feeds them, gives them a place to live, teaches them about Christ, but also by doing this and providing that sanctuary for them, it gets them away from the sex trafficking industry. So that's what I'm raising for. It's in CrowdRise. I think if you Google my name or search my name in CrowdRise, I believe it comes up, but I'll also post the link too. Okay. So my goal is to raise $1,000. I've hit it almost every time. I've come close once, fell a little short, but so raised almost $3,000 between the last 3 runs.
Okay.
And then
and how long is this going on for?
Until October, because the marathon's in October.
I think every few weeks we'll have to do a check-in and see how you're looking at on that. Yeah. I think it's a great worthwhile program. I texted Scott the other night when he posted it, and I said, I think we need to talk about this.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's not anything Odd Music being paid to talk about. Definitely Scott is being involved and being part of the Odd Music's team it's important. I think it's something we just want to continue to support and promote. And
I'll just throw out one other thing too, because Al is we got the St. Baldrick's coming up on March 10th.
Yes,
and he is going to have his head shaved for that charity. So there is a fundraiser. You can go through St. Baldrick's and look up the 501st Great Lakes Garrison, and they've got a donation page on there.
Excellent.
Cool. All right. Cool. And talking about other great things, we got International Minute Press.
Yes. International Minute Press in Plymouth, Michigan. They print and promote, and design you. They are artist-owned and operated. Joe and his team understand what it takes for emerging and established artists to get noticed. From ash cans and rack cards to posters, banners, and Comic-Con booth materials, IMP of Plymouth has the tools to help you stand out. Contact them today for a competitive pricing quote. Mention Odd Musings to receive 20% off your next order. They are located at 1058 South Main Street in Plymouth, Michigan. Give them a call, 734-414-6203. You can visit them online at www.myprinter.intlminutepress.com or at a link on oddmusings.com, or just go into their store and bug the heck out of them, because tell them Odd Musings sent you. You want a 20% discount on all your orders. So International Minute Press, Plymouth, Michigan. Check them out.
I wonder if any artist under the age of 30 even knows what an ash can is.
Yeah, there's I think a few here there, because I've seen some younger people at the Comic-Cons that have ash cans.
But do they know that's what they used to be called? Because ash cans are pretty much outlawed now, aren't they? Like for cigarettes?
Well, yeah.
Even the term ash can is probably not allowed.
Right.
But those are mini comic books for those who don't know what an ash can is.
Yeah, that's how I started the Carl comics, was all his ash cans, and they were little page books. I think we had 8 pages inside plus the cover, so it was like 12 total.
Yep. Very cool.
It's a great way to do a small comic and get your story out there. I know Bobby Krause, Rack, he does his Shakan series as that size. It's a manga size for all you kids who know those sizes.
Right. Very cool. So this week, there's been a lot going on as far as what we've been watching, and we'll be talking about Black Panther shortly. But one thing that's come back, which I didn't realize until I found out yesterday, that Star Wars Rebels is back on the air. The second half of their 4th season.
The final season, the last 9 episodes. We got 2 episodes yesterday on that.
Yeah.
The day before yesterday. I think
we both
Monday.
watched it yesterday. Yeah. Monday is when it comes out. And wow. we won't get into spoilers, but wow. I was not expecting that episode, and it was a very powerful and very good episode.
This series, especially this 4th season, has been really great, and they've gone to different places in the Star Wars universe we've never seen before, and we're learning more about the aspect of the Force and how it ties into this part of it, and we're right up to almost to where Rogue One would be at.
The ending of this series will tie into Rogue One. We don't know how yet, but
we have 7 more episodes to find out.
We're definitely seeing the things are coming up in these episodes that we just watched that are, they're talking about Yavin. They're talking about the rebels getting together. So there's talk that you can see where, we can see it's guiding into Rogue One now.
Right.
So we'll see where it goes from there. But it's an excellent series. It really is. They've done such a good job.
The first season I liked. It was really very unique in terms of the Star Wars universe. It was interesting to see a group of people, and this was prior to the Alliance, but we learned that as through Rogue One, there was always been different factions of rebellions going on.
And I will say the only disappointment I've had with Rebels is I really enjoyed the Ahsoka storyline, and I loved when they brought Vader into it, and we haven't had Vader in it since the ending of the Ahsoka Vader storyline.
Right.
And we still don't know how that ended. The way it ends, you don't know if Ahsoka lived or died. So I'm hoping she lived, and I'm hoping she pops up somewhere else in Star Wars canon. We'll find out, but at some future point. But it's been very well done. I love these current seasons. I just want to see more Vader in it, though, because he's been so awesome when he was in it. But
they really, in the last season and a half, it's been Grand Admiral Thrawn.
And that's been great too.
And it was interesting to take a character from the Expanded Universe books, one of the first ones, really, from Timothy Zahn, and then change it up his story instead of being after Return of the Jedi, bring him before all those stories, and him being a part of this.
There was one part of the storyline that was confusing to me a little bit, and they kind of clarified it here with this last 2 episodes, was the TIE Defender program. Because that's more advanced TIE, and really that doesn't really come about until after Return of the Jedi. And so it's like, well, why do they have the TIE Defenders in here? Well, what we come to find out, I won't say too much, is that program gets put on hold. And Grand Moff Tarkin even mentions how Krennic's Stardust program is taking the resources, which is the program in Rogue One.
Right.
So that's where we're starting to see things. So it explains a little bit why the TIE Defenders, we don't see them again for quite some time.
Right.
So I thought that was cool.
And they popped up originally originally in, I think some of the stories, but it was first time I saw him was in the X-Wing game back in the early 90s.
Right, exactly.
And then they had then they had the TIE Fighter game, and you got to actually fly it.
Yep.
And that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the TIE Defender was always one of my favorite designs. And it's got three fin assortment, and that's Fin Fin, not Finn.
Yeah.
There's three fins hanging on the outside.
Yeah. So okay,
bad humor.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. Another thing I came across on Netflix is a show called The Frankenstein Chronicles.
Yeah, I saw you post about that. I haven't seen it yet.
I'm always browsing Netflix for what can I watch that I haven't seen before, and I'm only 3 episodes in. It's 12 episodes total. It's 2 seasons. It's a British show. I guess it started in 2015, and it stars Sean Bean, and I love Sean Bean, and I just saw him as Boromir last week when I was sick. I had Lord of the Rings on, so I cried again when I didn't really cry, but on the inside I did when Boromir died at the hands of the Uruk-hai or whatever you call him, and he's such an awesome actor, and of course he's Ned Stark in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see Sean Bean in this Frankenstein series, which takes place in 1827. He's a police officer, and he's investigating these murders, and there's some link to the Frankenstein story. Mary Shelley appears in it, who is the author of Frankenstein.
Right.
He questions her about her character because some of these murders mimic how Frankenstein is put together. So that's all I know at this point. Not really any spoilers, but it's pretty well done. It's a nice period piece as far as 1827 and how he's trying to investigate this with their limited knowledge of forensics and all that. So definitely something I recommend so far. I'll give you an update if I think it holds up, but yeah, check it out.
Awesome. Yeah, I have to look into that. It'll be interesting. I was looking up. There's a movie that came out in the late 80s, and I forget the name of it, but it dealt with who Mary Shelley was and how she came up with the idea for Frankenstein.
It's interesting you say that, because from watching this, it makes me I want to find something about her history just because I found that interesting.
Yeah.
Another thing that came up, and I went on Google and checked it, so it's on the internet. It must be true. Frankenstein, the Sean Bean's character has syphilis.
Okay.
And they're treating him with mercury. And I'm like, so I go on Google and look up how did they historically treat it, and that's what they did. They were feeding people mercury, and typically the mercury is what ended up killing them. But I didn't realize how bad syphilis was, because in our day and age, they give you penicillin and they treat you,
right?
But in there, like, they even show an advanced case, like the nose falls off and they have these sores all over, and like the upper and bottom lips are gone. And from looking it up, it's like, oh, that's actually an accurate portrayal of how it was back then.
Yeah,
they're treating it with mercury, thinking this is solving it,
and it's killing them.
They're just poisoning them. So yeah, that's one of the fun things when they do these well-researched period shows. You learn things like that's how they really did things back then. Then I look it up and it's like, oh, they really did. Wow. So
well, I mean, it was all different back then, and it was like even bloodletting and things like that was always something that they thought helped.
Right.
So I watched a couple weeks ago, called Flesh and Blood. It was from the 80s with Jennifer Jason Leigh and Rutger Hauer.
Oh, yeah.
And it dealt with the plague, and the one main character had learned that, if you the Arabs say, hey, lance it, and this gets rid of it. Basically, instead of bleeding them out, they got to just get rid of the infection.
Right.
And that's what they ended up doing. It saved a couple of people. And that. But for the most part, people are like, oh no, we bloodlet. We've done it for generations, and that's what we do from now on. So yeah. But I was looking at the movie here. I believe it's The Haunted Summer, and it's supposed to be based on the actual events of Lord Byron and Mary Shelley and Percy Shelley as they get together. And it was interesting because basically she came up with the idea for Frankenstein because they were doing a lot of opium.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Wasn't she at some cabin in the woods with the?
That's what they were. They were away somewhere. It was like a getaway, and because they came from upper crust families and that. So
upper crust.
Yes.
Trusty.
Yes. And no clowns.
Yes, definitely not.
Or crabs.
All right. Any other Netflix or anything that pops into mind?
I haven't been watching a whole lot of different stuff lately. I've popped on a couple things here and there. I watched a little bit of Olympics, and then I've actually been watching Hulu. I've been watching Major Dad.
Oh, Major Dad, yeah.
I was like, I'm watching, and it's a great show I can put on at night when I'm just decompressing, because it was a fun sitcom from the late 80s, early 90s, and it's interesting to watch now and how they had one little thing they dealt with for 22 minutes, and that
right.
That it is funny to see him as this ultra conservative with a household full of liberals, and how they dealt with things back then. And some of the things they say back then, almost 30 years ago, is still relevant today.
Right.
And very cool. So it's kind of interesting that.
Well, and then there was the big movie that each of us saw this past weekend. The little-known movie called Black Panther, Marvel's 18th film in their Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yep. Yeah, I went and saw it at the fan event, which was I saw it in 3D. I like seeing it in 3D. It was really worthwhile in that, in my opinion. Good enough to where you see the depth of Wakanda, especially when they get there. I got a little collector's coin and free small popcorn. The bonus scene at the end that was part of the fan event was an interview with the director. I thought it was kind of garbage. There was nothing. There was no real insight, and that's the second time now I've done a fan event for Marvel, and the other stuff makes it worthwhile. I mean, I'm going to spend $14 anyways. I got so basically I spent $6 more to get this coin and the free popcorn, which would have cost me almost $6 by itself.
Right.
So it was like, okay, this is fine. I wish they would do a little more in depth. I was thinking 15-20 minute, like, here's you just saw the movie. Here's a cool behind the sceene things that we're not going to show again until it comes on DVD.
Should at least get like a Wakandan spear.
Yeah.
Or an arm cannon.
Or
an arm cannon.
I should get a Black Panther necklace, or something.
There you go.
Yeah. But that part was lacking. But the movie itself, I truly enjoyed a lot.
Yep.
And I knew I would. And as we're going to get into it here, one of the things we was looking up is how much it's made. And, we've talked about other movies like Justice League and what they've done. This shows that if you do a movie good enough, it's going to make the money. Because even if no matter what's going on, your politics on this movie or anything like that, we're not going to get deep into that. This movie wouldn't have made the $242 million domestically it's done so far if it wasn't a good movie.
All right, yeah.
In that, and that's I think what part of it is. It done well the first weekend and really drop off, but it's got staying power for a couple weeks. And I know people are going to go see it multiple times. I probably won't go see it again, but I don't see movies twice using the theater that much anymore. Anyways, unless it's Star Wars, but that's a different story. But even with Last Jedi, I only saw that twice versus the 10 times I only saw. Right. But yeah, I mean, opening weekend, $202 million domestically, $182 million international, or $184 million international. I didn't look to see about China. I don't know if it's opened in China yet to see what kind of numbers it's going to pull there. Right. But it's pulling some solid numbers, so this definitely is going to have a high run.
Well, if it did open in China, wouldn't it be in the international number?
I didn't look closely at that. I just looked at the overall.
Well, what's the combined just between what you have?
We're looking at $386 million.
Yeah, and that's for opening weekend. That's awesome.
So basically, you save $400 million now.
Yeah, so excellent start. It did set the record for a February movie.
Yep.
And it's the number 2 place for 4-day openings.
Yep.
Star Wars Force Awakens still has the number 1 spot for 4-day opening.
Yeah.
But it's doing great.
It was,
and it earned it. It really earned it. They did a great job of, you mentioned politics, but really what I love about it is Marvel does these movies. They make a good movie, a quality movie, a good story, but they don't turn it into a political movie.
Yeah.
They do a great job of presenting different points of views in the movie.
Yes.
But they're not telling you which ones are right or wrong or anything like that. They make it about the characters.
Yes.
Instead of about some agenda. And that's what I really liked about Black Panther. I thought it was just so well done. And I gotta give props to Marvel too, because the type of film they made, they went very heavy on the African themes. They didn't shy away from it. And in this day and age of where there's people who are hypersensitive and stuff, it would be very easy to say, you know what, we might offend somebody by doing it wrong, and so let's just not go there. They went there, and they hit a home run with it.
Well, they worked with, actual, some of the tribes, so we want to incorporate these themes, and they showed you had the people that put the discs in their mouth and stuff like that. That's part of the African culture in different tribes.
Right.
Within Wakanda, there were so many different tribes that all came together.
6 tribes.
Yeah.
And each tribe, the way they designed it, represented a different culture within Africa.
Right.
And what was awesome about it, too, what I loved, is they took these designs, but modernized them in a way that worked.
Yeah.
So they seemed very futuristic. But
which makes sense with the technology Wakanda has,
right?
Because they are at least 100 years, if not more, ahead of where we're at now.
Right. Yeah. So I thought that was very well done. I thought the story itself, overall, I really enjoyed the storyline. Some of it, I mentioned to you off air, the challenging of the king, I thought became redundant when they had it happen earlier against that 6th tribe, the king of that tribe.
Yep.
And then
the gorilla tribe, yeah.
Yeah, and then they did it again with Killmonger, and just, to me, it lost some of its impact, since it's like, oh, we already saw this. We already saw the ceremony, and I thought they could have handled it different.
It would have been better if I would enjoy more if he did the first challenge one, and then Killmonger shows up and says, hey, your dad killed my dad, and and they were brothers, so I have a legitimate right to the throne. Right.
And then, so I just thought that part, had they just gone straight into the fight with Killmonger at the end instead of going through the challenge again, and it just that, and the only other criticism I have is I felt the whole idea of the Black Panther spirit being T'Challa's. Is that how you say it?
T'Challa,
Black Panthers. T'Challa's being, they made it seem very like it was like this important thing, like he was chosen and there was meaning behind it. Well, but come to find out,
he was descendant of the was passed down.
But it almost felt like the Black Panther chooses you in a way. But then in the end, you find out, well, it's whoever eats this purple flower.
Yeah.
Because to me, Killmonger shouldn't have been worthy of receiving. To me, what should have happened is the Black Panther should have rejected him, being like, you're not worthy type thing, almost like Thor's hammer. But instead, he got it too. And it's just, I don't know, that part I felt cheapened the whole idea of T'Challa being worthy of having the Black Panther.
The mystical aspect of it was taken away.
That's what I felt.
Yeah.
But other than that, I like I said, I think overall the story was still great. The action was fun.
Yep.
The characters were great. Great, strong characters. Even the secondary characters I thought were excellently done. So overall, I give this movie an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
And as far as my list of the current 18 Marvel movies, it falls in it's tied for 6th place with First Avenger, if I remember correct. And it looks like our live feed went.
Well, it's still on mine, so
okay. See if yours goes.
Yep.
But yeah, so I enjoyed it. I'll definitely see it again. I don't know if I'll see it in the theater a second time, but definitely when it comes out on video, I'll definitely be seeing it then.
Yeah. Well, it's something I definitely will pick up when it comes out, and I may go see it again. Mostly I won't, just because of time and everything else. But really like it. Definitely 8 out of 10. I give that also. It ranks probably about 5 or 6 for me as well in the rankings. In terms of origin stories,
yes,
this one and Doctor Strange have shown they can tell a really great origin story without being too detailed in certain little things. I loved how this movie opened with, here is Wakanda. This is the history of Wakanda, how it came about. A million years ago, this rock came and hit there, and these people found it and they protected it. They protected the stuff, and that I think it cut out.
Yeah, I think it cut out.
But it's they tell you the whole history, and then how there was all the warring going on, the fighting between the tribes over this element, and then the spirit of the Black Panther came.
Correct.
And that was the first, king of Wakanda, and they basically united the groups together. They still had their own identity, but then they were all part of Wakanda. Right. And then of course over the years they developed their technology and everything else to the point of where they actually, when you hear about Wakanda talked about in the news during the movie, they say it's a small impoverished country. There's a little bit they can see where it looks impoverished, but the majority of it's behind what looks like a rainforest, but it's actually not really there. It's a hologram.
Right. A wall.
Yeah.
They built a wall.
They did.
To keep outsiders out. And they have strong immigration policies.
Yep.
They don't believe in taking in refugees.
Right.
They believe in strip mining for their natural resources.
Yep.
Which is, not to get political, but I find it funny that my liberal friends are like, Wakanda forever, I love Wakanda, America should be like Wakanda. Then I point out all the policies that Wakanda actually is using. I'm like, are you sure?
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
I love you guys.
Is when you really look at everything they talk, when you talk about that, Wakanda forever, it's like, they are united together.
Yeah.
And while they are now doing at the end of the movie a outreach program, they're still not saying, "Oh, come to Wakanda. We're like Vietnam. You can visit us now." No,
they have strong ID checks.
Yep.
With their tattoos in their lips. That's their voter ID card.
And people can't just walk in because they're still trying to protect the vibranium that they've got there.
Yeah.
And everything else. But they're using their immense wealth, which was hidden from the world,
right,
and helping now to put stuff out there. And they mentioned we have technologies, we have wealth you didn't know about, and we're going to be slowly introducing the world to some of this stuff.
Correct.
So they're not saying it's all open, here it is, and everybody have fun with it, because they know that they have potentially world-damaging technology.
True. Very true. So, in addition to that, let's move on to Lorangers here. Give them a shout out, and then we'll get back onto this topic.
I was just there yesterday, and I had my adjustment. Saw Dr. Anna. But Loranger Family Chiropractic, your journey to wellness begins here. Build a healthy lifestyle with chiropractic care. At Loranger Family Chiropractic Center PC, they take great pride in providing the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient. Loranger Family Chiropractic offers on-site digital x-rays, massage therapy, orthotics by foot levelers, young living essential oils, aromatherapy, all with a full line of vitamins and oils you can buy there in a family-oriented environment. They're going to be opening their brand new updated Dexter office in April. We haven't got an exact date yet, but we're going to be scheduling sometime towards that, have Dr. Corinne come in. That was Dr. Anna, Dr. Brian's daughter, and she'll come in and talk about chiropractic care with us for an hour, and then I'll be doing a live video once they have the place open so we can get a tour for you guys of the new facility. They're real excited about that. But you can give them a call at their Belleville location at 734-697-4244 to find out about appointments for Belleville or Dexter, or if you don't live in the area, to find out where you can go to get great chiropractic care like they offer, and visit them at LorangerFamilyChiropractic.com. We do have a link at Odd Musings for you guys.
Very good.
Yep.
All right. So, now that we've seen Black Panther, what does this mean for the Marvel Expanded Universe, cinematic universe, I should say, moving forward? So the next movie is actually the Infinity War movie.
Yep.
That is being hyped, and that comes out in May.
Well, I'm real excited about that.
Yep.
They've been building to this for a long time now, really since Phase 2, so it really started to appear. But it's been around since the first Avenger, which is the Captain America movie.
Yes.
And that's
when we first saw the Tesseract,
right?
Which was the Space Stone, the one of the 6 Infinity Stones that are going to be placed into Thanos' gauntlet. And so with Infinity War, what we do know is Thor 3, Ragnarok, ended with Thanos' ship appearing.
Yes.
And we don't know what happens next, but we do know...
We figure he's going to get the Tesseract. The Tesseract, which is also known as the Cosmic Cube and the Space Stone.
Yep. So that's gonna probably be how Infinity War opens up, is the battle for that.
Well, in the trailer we've seen already for that, there was the scene with Thor hitting the Guardian ship.
Right. So my assumption is Thor's going to lose against Thanos, and Thanos is going to acquire the stone.
And we're probably not going to see that battle. I think we're going to see the after effects.
I think we're going to see it, because my gut tells me I think Loki is going to die in that scene. This is my pure speculation.
Okay.
I think Loki's going to die a hero trying to save the stone.
Yeah.
And Thanos will get it. That's my prediction, but who knows? But and I think that's where Thor will end up launched into space, which then we see in the trailer. They hit him and Thor ends up on the windshield. And Rocket's like, do you have windshield wipers?
Get it off.
So we got that. But the Space Stone, which is the Tesseract, is what also allows for them to open up wormholes and travel great distances. So I have a feeling that's what then brings Thanos to Earth. He'll be able to open up a wormhole.
Right. And, and he's also, I think, with getting that, he's able to track that it was at Earth, and then that leads him there too. So
Right.
there's going to be ties in all that stuff there too.
So we know where the Space Stone is. It's currently with Loki at the end of Ragnarok, and we're about to find out what happens with Thanos there.
Right.
From there, we have 5 other stones. Another key one is the Mind Stone, which is in Vision. That's the one on his forehead.
Yeah.
Which came from, that was in Loki's staff originally. That Loki would touch people and he could take over their minds.
Yeah.
And then when Tony Stark was trying to build a machine to counter Ultron, that's when Vision was created, and the Mind Stone is what brought him to life.
Yeah.
So we got that. That's going to be acquired at some point. And in the trailers, there's a scene that looks like Thanos taking the Mind Stone from Vision.
Yes, where you see him kind of go down and pull it out, and Vision's like, "Ah!"
Right. So will that kill Vision? I assume it will.
I don't know. Or is it going to be, is he get enough remnants of the power to continue on?
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah.
But so it seems like Thanos is going to get the Mind Stone in this movie based on that trailer clip. We also have the Reality Stone.
Right.
That one was in Thor 2.
Yeah, and that's now supposedly with the Collector.
Right. We're not sure because the Collector's place blew up.
Right.
But as far as we know, it's there.
Yep.
Who else?
Power, one from the Guardians.
Yeah, that's the one in the orb that
the Nova Corps has it.
that Chris Pratt was able to hold in his hand, and Nova Corps now has that. Which moving forward after the Ant-Man Wasp movie, we have the Captain Marvel movie. So I don't know. Maybe it'll wait until then that we see it, or maybe we'll see it in this movie. We don't know.
Yep. Well, and that's going to be interesting to see on that, because we've speculated that the Microverse is going to have a stone, but maybe they have to take it and hide it there.
Yeah, well, it could be that. But we also don't know where the Soul Stone is.
Right.
That one is the mystery one, which that one could be in the Microverse or hidden there later, or who knows what. And then last but not least, the Time Stone, which we know from Doctor Strange.
Yep.
Which Doctor Strange is in this movie. And Thanos shows up in New York, we know, based on the scene where Peter Parker is riding the bus and we see his spider sense tingle. So, will Thanos defeat Doctor Strange for the Time Stone in this movie?
I'd like to see that, because looking at the trailer for the Avengers, he has 2 stones. He has the Tesseract in the trailer, and he has the Power Stone. So he's already gotten the Nova Corps stone.
So that's the so maybe we see him attack the Nova Corps.
Yeah. Or again, this could be stuff where they don't really show much of it. It just happens quickly. We're through it rather.
Yeah, well, keep in mind too, the Infinity Wars is going to cover 2 movies. So the entire thing, the acquiring of all the stones, won't happen in this movie.
No, but I believe he's a majority of it's going to be him trying to get the stones that are left on Earth.
It's basically going to be a 4-movie arc.
Yes.
We got the Infinity War, Ant-Man Wasp, Captain Marvel, Infinity War 2, which they're no longer calling Infinity War 2. It's going to have a different name, but
they're not releasing that name until after the other one comes out.
They might have spoilers. Yeah.
Which
I don't know what kind of name has spoilers unless it's like Death of Captain America.
Well, and it could be, but I think that's something we're going to find out. So
so we'll see. I'm definitely excited for it. I'm geeked with this movie year coming up. There's honestly not a lot of movies that are making me excited, but Infinity War definitely is. So we'll see where it goes. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm waiting to see how it all ties into the rest of it. And then after the second Infinity War, we've got 2 more Marvel movies that have been announced. They haven't announced the other ones because they feel that'll give too many spoilers of what's going to happen. The 2 announced ones that'll be after Infinity War 2 is the sequel to the Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yep.
I forget what they're calling that one.
Yep.
And then the
Guardians 3, which will deal with the they've already set up for the Adam character, which took place Adam Warlock. I think it's Adam Warlock, but it's Adam after it happened after the Infinity War, anyways, in the comics. So
Power Man, right, or Wonder Man?
Not Wonder Man. It's a different guy. I think it's Adam Warlock. So
I thought Adam Warlock had a superhero name too. No,
I don't think so. I think it's just Adam Warlock.
Okay.
So. But so I mean, we got a lot of cool stuff going on with that, and speculation is, as this is all going to wrap up what we've had, and then lead to the future. And of course, what really is going to happen is going to all depend on whether or not Disney acquires 20th Century Fox. They get all those characters back from the X-Men.
Right.
Which there's a new X-Men movie coming out in November. Not really excited about that, but...
Yeah, that's the Dark Phoenix one.
Yeah. So they're dealing with that story again. They've already done it once. So.
Yeah. So with Infinity Wars, whether 1 or 2, well, let's say in this next Infinity War movie, any predictions on who you think will die?
Well, you already said Loki. I don't think Loki's going to die. I think he's going to get messed up, but but he's on the poster, and he's a fan favorite, so it's one of those ones that I think he'll be around. Plus, he's just a fun character.
I think if they kill him off, though, it'll be so appropriate to have him die heroically because it'll wrap up his story arc.
It would be. I think if anyone's going to die, it will be Cap.
I think Captain America is going to die.
I think they're setting that up for that, and they're setting up for either the Winter Soldier to take his place or Falcon.
I think it's going to be Falcon.
Yeah.
I think they're going to skip the storyline of Cap because both of them become Captain America in the comics.
Yes.
I think part of it is I think people really like Winter Soldier just as Winter Soldier. Plus the way Falcon was fighting in the last movie, his wings came off and became a shield, and he was doing a lot of shield fighting.
Yes.
So I think that was kind of the hint that he's moving into the Cap spot.
Right.
Plus, he never leaves Captain America's side.
Well, and we're also seeing though from the end scene from Black Panther, Bucky's been in Wakanda.
Yep, he's been going.
And actually, the Winter Soldier went to Wakanda, and Bucky is coming out.
That's a good way of putting it. Yes,
because as he said, don't
he's all zen
call me
now.
Bucky. Yep. She called him Sergeant Barnes. He said, "Don't call me Bucky.
Call me Bucky."
So he's getting his original memories back, who he was,
and theoretically, he's been deprogrammed from the.
And he doesn't have the arm. The arm was ripped off, and they've not replaced it. So.
Well, in Wakanda's technology, though, I'm guessing he's going to have a really cool arm.
I would think so.
With a cannon or whatever.
Well, yeah, we saw that with, what's his name? The bad
Claw.
Guy. Claw, yeah.
I really like Claw. But, all right. So, yeah, my prediction is Captain America will die at the end, and that's going to shatter everybody, and the whole thing moving forward, getting through these next 4 movies, will be how do we move forward from there?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I mean, realistically, we don't have Iron Man. He's been around, but he's been wanting to retire. But at the same time, when you lose Cap, that's more of a blow to everybody,
right?
Because like even in the trailer, somebody needs to get this man a shield because he is the symbol of everything that they are trying to do. And I think if he doesn't die at the end of this one, something's gonna happen to him in the next one.
Yeah.
But I think there's a good chance that we can get a little Game of Thrones action going on and start seeing some deaths in this one because it's going to be a brutal fight with Thanos. Thanos does not take prisoners.
No.
So he's out to destroy. And
I think Thor will make it, especially since Chris Hemsworth has he's been open about wanting to do more Thor movies.
Yeah.
And I think they're in a position where, because they're going to want to keep some of the originals around to help carry that lineage forward.
Right.
So I think Thor will survive the whole Infinity War, but who knows who else?
Yeah, we'll have to see. It'll be kind of cool. I'm looking forward to it. And that I think Marvel is just doing a great job. We're looking at 24 total movies by the time they're done that they've announced.
They need to bring Nick Fury back too.
Well, I have a feeling we're going to see him pop up, but not probably like in an end credit scene for Infinity War. No. And then maybe he'll play a part in the next one, because if Cap dies, then they can show him, since he's the one that brought them all together in the first place, and come back and say, okay, we've got to fix this.
All right, that's a good line of thinking.
Again,
I like it.
Pure speculation.
All right. Well, we only have a few more minutes here. Let's for 2018, like I was saying, not a lot of movies really exciting me this year.
No.
What stands out to you?
Well, Ready Player One is one I'm looking for. That's coming up next. That's next month.
Yep. And like I had told you, that movie, I honestly don't know anything about.
Got to read the book.
But everybody I know who has read the book is excited for this. So their excitement has bled over into me, and I'm excited because of their excitement.
It deals with everything I loved from the 80s, and as well as everything I love now in terms of technology and the internet. So it's going to be a really cool convergence of that stuff, and it was a really good story. I enjoyed that a lot, so I'm looking forward to seeing it on the big screen.
Cool.
Of course, we talk about the Avengers. I'm kind of looking forward to Solo to see it at least once.
Mm-hmm. Deadpool, and that one I'm cautiously optimistic.
I enjoyed the trailer enough that I want to see it.
Me too.
And,
I agree.
And then Deadpool's coming out, and while I'm going to go see Deadpool, I'm not sitting going, oh my God, it's going to be the greatest thing ever. I'm worried Deadpool's going to be fun, but at the same time more of the same. So
I am looking forward to
Cable's
seeing Josh Brolin as Cable, which is also Thanos.
Yes.
So I'm sure there's going to be a joke or two by Deadpool about that.
I'm sure there is, yep. Then I've got The Incredibles coming out this summer I'm looking forward to.
You know what's weird about that one? That came out of nowhere. They really kept it under wraps.
Well, no, they announced it like 4 years ago. But then they stopped talking about it.
But it kind of,
They were great about what I loved about it is hey, we're going to do this, and what's the story? We're not going to tell you.
Right.
They were really good about not having any hints about that. Right. Same thing with Toy Story 4 that comes out next year. We know nothing about the story.
But with Incredibles, really it was off the radar until 2 months ago when they released that teaser trailer.
Last week they released the full trailer.
Yep.
And now we know that it takes place right after the first movie.
Yep. Mole Man.
And so someone wants to bring back the Supers, but they want to focus on Elastigirl, where the first movie really followed Mr. Incredible. Right. Now we see Elastigirl kind of making her comeback, and Mr. Incredible is a stay-at-home dad.
Right.
So it's going to be kind of interesting how that goes. And then, of course, the kids want, or especially Dash, wants to be a hero, but he's still a kid.
And we have Edna Mode coming back.
Yes. Yes, Edna Mode.
Yeah. Another movie I'm really excited for, Jurassic World.
Yeah, that looks great.
That one's going to be good.
I'll enjoy that one.
Fantastic Beasts 2.
Yes, as well as around the same time as Fantastic Beasts comes out is Wreck-It Ralph 2. Ralph Breaks the Internet. And I saw the teaser for that, and you see him and Vanellope going into the internet. I don't know the whole story yet because they haven't released a full trailer, but I'm really excited about that. I love the first Wreck-It Ralph, and so can't wait to see that. And of course, being a Harry Potter fan, Fantastic Beasts I think is going to be fantastic. So
yeah, now this one takes them back to England.
Yes, it ties back to England. They're dealing with
young Dumbledore.
Young Dumbledore pops in Jude Law.
Yeah, I think this is where we're going to see what happened to Dumbledore's sister.
Yes, well, that was a catalyst to a lot of what happens through the whole thing is Dumbledore's sister, because it leads Dumbledore to do what he does, and leads to eventually the big battle that he has with Johnny Depp's character.
Yeah, I think we're going to find out what occurred there in detail.
But this is also still be leading up, because this is takes place right after the first one, so in the timeline it's going to cover a short time, but it's supposed to, all 5 movies cover like 20 years. So by the
there's
time
5 movies for Fantastic Beasts? Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, there's going to be 5 movies.
Wow, cool.
And J.K. Rowling's writing all of them, and she's writing all the screenplays, so we're not going to get novels beforehand. We'll get the screenplays released when they release the movie.
Yeah, and I got to say, too, there's the whole controversy of Johnny Depp being involved. I think he's fine as how do you say, Grimwald?
Grimwald. The problem with that is because of his recent divorce and accusations against him, people said, well, he shouldn't be in these movies now. Right. He hasn't been convicted of anything. He's not been charged of anything. And he was already in these movies before all this came out, and everybody loved him. Right. So I think people need to look at it. It's like, you know what? We need to stop this whole idea of you're guilty before you can prove you're innocent. And if something happened, that's fine, but it shouldn't take one or another. Going forward, he may not get other roles if the people don't want to put him in there.
Right. Well, even like people like Kevin Spacey, where then they're like, well, they should go back and CGI him out of past. It's like, come on, really? Like, you're going to spend $100 million to digitally remove somebody from past work? Yeah. I mean, come on.
You know, my thing is this: is if it bothers you that much, don't watch the movies. Right. Don't see the movies of these people in there. I mean, the Kevin Spacey part, it was. I always liked some of the movies he did, you know, but I wasn't like totally enamored of him as a person. I really didn't know anything about him. But you hear all this stuff, and it's like, you know, this is a shame because more and more has come out. It's sickening in some ways, but at the same time, to say we need to go back and rewrite history. No,
my whole thing is most of the people who don't want to work with him anymore. It's the whole thing where it was that dirty secret in Hollywood. A lot of these people who are accused of things, everyone else knew, and they were fine with being quiet. Yeah, that's where my part is. Like, okay, stop pretending you're some saint and you knew, like Oprah. You know, her and her speech. She knew. She was personal friends with Harvey Weinstein. Don't tell me she had zero clue what was happening. Right. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah. So we're not going to get too much into that, but at the same time, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. So on that note,
I think we've covered quite a bit today. Had a little fun talking movies as usual and things like that. We're going to be hopefully in the next couple weeks. We got a friend of ours, Jeff Sornig, is back from Nickelodeon. Yes. So if he's listening, hopefully he knows we still want to get him on the show, and we're going to try to schedule that. Talk about his life going from the Marine Corps to intern to working as a production assistant at Nickelodeon,
and then back to the pothole, capital of the world. world.
Then back to Detroit. So
That'd be cool.
It'd be his Hobbit journey of there and back again.
There and back again.
So maybe we'll get him on in the next few weeks. Again, we're going to get Dr. Corinne on sometime in April.
Yep.
And other stuff. And if you guys ever have ideas, say, hey, why don't you guys talk about XYZ? Well, send us a message and say, hey, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. If we don't want to talk about it, we'll tell you we don't want to talk about it. But I think we covered it good. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Check out his, watch our website for the updates for the fundraiser he's doing. Make sure you help out with that if you can.
Go to Brett Pinson Creations on Facebook.
Yep. And then, of course, the artist Scott at Facebook.
On Facebook, yep.
And check out all our work. And we'll be at Great Lakes Comic Con this weekend in Macomb County at the Macomb Expo Center at Macomb Community College, Friday night and Saturday. So come out and see us out there.
Yep, great lineup of people there.
It'll be fun. We'll be there. Dominic won't, but we're covering everything here. So I guess we're good. Dominic, take us out, man.